Hey everyone, Rich Dotson with DynastyNerds.com here to talk about a running back you should be going out and trading for your Dynasty roster for the 2021 season. In fantasy football and in Dynasty fantasy football, a lot of times everybody's out there trying to make that big trade. Well, today I'm here to talk about a small trade of a small player that could pay big dividends for your 2021 season. Hey Nerd Herd, let's talk today why you should go out and trade for the 24-year-old Nyheim Hines and add him to your Dynasty roster. Coming off a fantastic year. Hines, like I said, 24 years old, 5'9", 196 pounds, entering a contract year. He was a fourth-round pick in 2018, and this is the last year of his rookie deal. And I'm really hoping, I don't see why not, the Colts would not re-sign him, because him and Jonathan Taylor are a great matchup, the yin to his yang. And he's coming off a season where he finishes running back 15 overall. That's right. You heard me right. Nyheim Hines was running back 15 overall in PPR leagues. That's a championship caliber player that you could pay a much lower price for. Coming off a year where he had 89 carries, 380 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That 380 yards, he averaged 4.3 yards per carry. Pretty impressive for Hines. That 4.3 yards per carry is better than Zeke Elliott, Joe Mixon, and Josh Jacobs. And of course, being a pass catcher running back that he is, he came in, caught 63 of his 76 targets for 482 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's his bread and butter. And these PPR running backs, they're great to have in Dynasty fantasy football or in fantasy football in general. These are the kind of guys that you can put in your flex or running back too, and you know they're going to deliver week in, week out. I mean, Hines is somebody that had at least 3 catches in every game except for 4. So he's almost guaranteed to give you something. And this year he gave you a little bit more because we saw him come in and not only look good in a passing game, but he looked really good in the ground game. Even a part of those stats that's not included versus the playoff game versus the Bills, he had over 70 yards rushing. And he's somebody that has taken a big step forward on the ground this year. I've seen big improvements in his vision, in his patience, and even his contact balance. This is all added up to that 4.3 yards per carry as a ground runner. Now, he'll always be the complement to Jonathan Taylor. And Jonathan Taylor, as we know, is a Dynasty darling right now. But that's great because we know running backs could prosper in a dual running back system. I mean, look at Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Both finished as running back 1s this year. Running back 10 and running back 11. And these PPR running backs that finish as high-end running backs too, they're nothing to scoff at. We see them all the time. J.D. McKissic did this year, led the league in targets this year. Nyheim Hines was actually 3rd in the league this year in targets with those 76. He was behind Alvin Kamara and J.D. McKissic. Jonathan Taylor himself saw 40. But we don't look at this to change just because Jonathan Taylor had a good year. We look for this to be consistent with Nyheim Hines and his role the same, which is very optimistic for him to be that running back 2 again in the 2021 season. I know we don't know who the quarterback is just yet, but this pass catcher running back is always the safety net for that quarterback. Now, I mentioned his pass catching ability. Nyheim Hines is great at this. I love when we see him line up on the slot and he has to face a linebacker. That's great news because he can dominate linebackers week in and week out. Nyheim Hines was Pro Football Focus's highest graded pass catcher and running back this year. Again, he took a big step forward, and this all pays dividends for your Dynasty fantasy football team. Hines is somebody that looked very good on the ground this year. I mean, he looked night and day than he did for the last couple of years there in Indianapolis as a rusher on the ground. His first 2 years, I mean, just average. I mean, not even a running back 2, but this year he comes in and he takes a big step forward there in between the tackles. We mentioned his vision, his contact balance, his strength, running strong in between the tackles. And this is somebody who came in and it showed, like, in his first 2 years, he had 12 total rushes that went over 10 yards. This year, he had 19 rushes that went over 10 yards. Now, I know the offensive line helps, and it helps Jonathan Taylor too, but that's great. That just means Nyheim Hines is in a fantastic situation. And I said, everybody's looking out there to make these big-time trades in Dynasty Fantasy Football, but sometimes it's the small trades that could pay these big dividends. And Nyheim Hines could do just that this year. Right now, you can go out and trade for Hines for a 3rd-round pick. The 21 draft is very deep, but it's also very top-heavy. So I have no problem giving up a 3rd-round pick anywhere where it lies, even if it's 3-1 for a guy like Hines, who's going to come in and most likely give you running back 2 numbers, not only for 2021, but beyond. And that's a great return on your investment. What may seem like an overpay today could be an underpay tomorrow. I totally expect Nyheim Hines to be a running back 2 again in 2021. And he's probably going to get re-signed by the Colts, which will just increase his value behind a fantastic runner like Jonathan Taylor. Everybody's always searching for that running back 1, but it's running back 2s that can make a very big difference. Even if they're low-end running back 2s, they're still running back 2s, running back 24s. These are the kind of guys that you could pay third-round picks for that you could start come championship weekends. And these PPR running backs, they're least likely to get hurt. These are the guys that I want to attack and I always want to have on my roster. They're my safety nets at the running back position. They're guys I can count on when my big guys, if they get hurt, if they have a very bad matchup, they're guaranteed to give me some points. And they're always the cheapest running backs to get. Guys like James White, even Tariq Cohen, Duke Johnson coming back next year. So go out there and get Nyheim Hines. Trade for him. You'll be thanking me after the 2021 season, after you go deep into your Dynasty playoffs. Go ahead, make that move today, and you'll get him for a third-round pick. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, like button, notifications button, so we can keep you up to date with all our Dynasty content this offseason to help you either build a championship contender or help you reload your roster to soon be that championship caliber team.